We've looked at a simple use of drop D tuning. I'm going to remind you of the tuning. It's very much like standard tuning. We've got E on the first string, B on the second, G on the third, D on the fourth, A on the fifth, but instead of an E on the low 6th string, we now have a D note, a whole tone below. And the effect of that is that if we play just a straight D chord, you get a much richer sound because we now have that low D. We've also looked at some simple chord shapes coming off that. And some ornamentation you can do by adding and removing notes. We're going to see what we can do by moving chord shapes around, up and down the neck in the drop D tuning. We're going to use full chords, we're going to use 2 or 3 notes together, and we're going to look at using the bass notes as a drone and playing individual string melodies with the other strings. I'm not going to give the chord shapes accurate names. As we've seen before with open tunings, you get all sorts of interesting notes creeping in that aren't really there in a straight major or a minor or a 7th chord. What's more important than knowing their actual names of these chords is to get some feel of how they sound and how you might use them. And what's helpful for that is knowing what the bass note is. So obviously we now have this note, the low 6th string, tuned down to a D. So that will be a D major with a D in the bass. Your E note on the bass is now behind the 2nd fret on the 6th string. And if you tuck this finger in and also fret the 5th string behind the 2nd fret, get that chord, which is an E minor 7. Your F sharp note is now behind the 4th fret, and if you bar the other strings right across, you get a version of an F sharp minor. The 5th fret on the 6th string is now a G note. If you move that up 2 frets to the 7th fret, you now have an A note. So let's listen to those chords, see how they sound. I finished off there not playing just a straight D, but adding an A on the top. Again. It's also a great tuning for playing little runs in the middle of the fretboard, and I'm only going to be picking the strings 4, 3 and 2. Pentatonic scale also sits very nicely in this tuning. So I'm going to use the fact that we've got a drone in the bass and just improvise some melodies on that scale.